You ever stop and think, like, how does your phone charge so incredibly fast these days? Or how it can run these, intense games for hours, stream video nonstop, and somehow doesn't melt or, God forbid, actually catch fire? It's pretty amazing when you think about it, something we just, well, expect. But there's this hidden component inside, working away constantly, making all that possible. It's the power management IC, or PMIC.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today, really exploring the absolutely essential role of this PMIC. Think of it as the phone's dedicated energy butler, maybe
Sure.
making sure everything runs safely, smoothly all the time. You'll literally never see it, but its work is, fundamental for performance and definitely for safety.
Okay, let's get into it then. What is a PMIC exactly? What's its core job inside the phone? Maybe an analogy could help.
Okay, the energy butler works pretty well, I think. Its main function is to manage and distribute power meticulously to every single part.
Yeah.
The CPU, the cameras, the screen, memory. Everything needs power, but they need different kinds of power.
Yeah.
So the PMIC controls charging speed, it regulates voltage, protects the battery, even handles power saving when it's just sitting there. If it wasn't there, well, phones would overheat like crazy, the battery would die super fast, or they could even become dangerous, unstable.
Right, so it's like running this tiny, constantly adjusting power grid inside the phone, making sure everyone gets exactly what they need when they need it. But that sounds incredibly difficult. What are some of the biggest challenges it faces?
Oh, the challenges are significant. The dynamic nature of it all. Think about this. The battery, right, it puts out one voltage, usually around 3.7 volts. But inside that phone, you've got maybe, I don't know, over 10 different major chips. And they all need different voltages to work properly, very specific voltages. So the PMIC has to constantly convert that main battery voltage, sometimes stepping it down, sometimes stepping it up.
Up and down.
Exactly. And it has to do this with like millisecond precision. That precision, that's actually key to why your phone feels smooth. No stuttering when you switch apps. It's getting the power instantly. It's also balancing power demands between apps, the modem, the screen, and it's watching for heat. If things get too warm, it has to throttle the power back to prevent damage. Plus, switching entire sections of the phone on or off instantly to save power. And doing all this while being part of a device that has to be incredibly thin and light, it's quite a feat.
Okay, with all that power management, that voltage juggling act happening constantly, it does make you think about safety. We do hear stories sometimes, thankfully rare, about phones catching fire or batteries swelling. So how does the PMIC act like a sort of safety guardian to stop that happening more often? What are the built-in protections?
That's probably its most critical role and why those incidents are so rare. The PMIC is the main line of defense. It has multiple layers of protection built right in. Things like overvoltage protection. Think of it like a really smart, really fast circuit breaker. If the voltage spikes, bang, it cuts it off or limits it before a component gets fried.
Okay.
Then there's thermal shutdown. If the chip itself or the phone gets dangerously hot, it can just shut things down safely. It also has short circuit detection. If there's an electrical fault somewhere, it isolates it immediately. And comprehensive battery monitoring too, watching charge levels, temperature, current, often working with safety fuses.
So it's like an air traffic controller, but for electricity?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, constantly monitoring, diverting power, shutting down lanes if needed, rerouting, all to prevent a catastrophe. And these chips, they go through brutal testing. Exposure to high temps, 70, even 100 degrees Celsius, drop tests, you name it. Plus, companies like Qualcomm, MediaTek, Texas Instruments, they've been honing this tech for, over 20 years now. They've gotten incredibly good at it. That reliability is built on decades of refinement.
It really is amazing engineering, especially packing all that into such a tiny space.
Right.
What's actually inside one of these PMIC chips? What are the components?
Right, so inside that tiny package, you've got quite a few specialized bits. You have
Ah.
DC-DC converters, often called buck and boost regulator.
Buck and Moose.
Yeah, buck means they step voltage down. Boost means they step it up. They're like tiny, super efficient transformers on the chip itself. They ensure components get the exact voltage needed without wasting much energy as heat. Very important. Then you have LDOs, low dropout regulators. They provide really stable, clean power, which some sensitive components need. You'll also find battery fuel gauges. There are circuits that tell you precisely how much charge is left. Charge controllers, obviously, to manage the whole charging process safely. And thermal sensors integrated right onto the chip to constantly monitor its own temperature and sometimes other parts of the phone.
And all that fits on one tiny chip.
No.
Yeah.
And interestingly, they're often made using slightly older manufacturing processes, what we call mature process nodes, like 90 nanometers, maybe 180 nanometers.
Older. Why not the newest, tiniest tech?
Because for power management, extreme stability and reliability are often more important than being the absolute smallest. These older processes are incredibly well understood and dependable and cheaper, which helps keep phone costs down. Plus, designing these things, it requires really deep analog design expertise. It's a specific skill, very different from digital chip design. It's something AI, for example, still can't really replicate effectively. It's a very human, very experienced field of engineering.
Fascinating. So, looking ahead then, how are these essential chips evolving? What's next for PMICs, especially with new phone tech and how we use our devices?
Yeah, they're definitely not standing still. PMICs are constantly adapting. A big driver is fast charging. We're seeing support for speeds like 65 watts, 100 watts, even 120 watts now.
Hmm.
That requires much more sophisticated power control and safety features within the PMIC.
Wow, 120 watts.
Right. Then you have new form factors. Foldable phones, for instance, they
Hmm.
often have multiple batteries, different screens. The PMIC needs to manage power across all of that intelligently,
Hmm.
balancing loads, charging multiple cells correctly, and looking further out, AI integration is a big one.
AI in the PMIC, how would that work?
Well, imagine the PMIC learning your specific usage concerns. When you typically use demanding apps when the phone is usually idle, it could then proactively optimize power delivery, maybe slightly reducing background power just before your usual commute, knowing you won't need peak performance then, things like that. So the trend is toward even smarter, more integrated, but still compact PMICs, ultimately leading to better battery life and always improved safety.
It really is the unsung hero, isn't it? Working away in the background. So the next time you plug your phone in and it charges up incredibly quickly, or you play a graphics-heavy game and it just works without any drama, maybe give a little nod to that tiny PMIC inside. It's doing all the hard work you never see.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other technologies like this are hidden inside the devices we rely on every single day, working tirelessly, making things safer, faster, more convenient, all completely invisible to us? Maybe something for you to think about. Beyond the screen and the software, what other hidden engineering marvels are making your everyday tech possible? And what does that quiet reliance on invisible tech really mean?